All right. Let's dive into today's topic.
Yeah.
Talking about your day in English.
Sounds good.
We've got this beginner English lesson, and, you know, it's really focused on these daily routines. And, like, the thing that just blows me away is how much you can actually say.
Right.
With just a really small number of phrases.
Absolutely. And, you know,
kind of cool.
That's what we're looking at, like the essential building blocks.
Yeah.
Like, if you can master, like, the phrase, I eat. Mm-hmm. That opens the door to be able to say, I eat quickly, or I eat with my family, you know?
Right.
You're just adding those layers of meaning and detail.
Totally. And our source this time really gets into, like, the nitty-gritty of a typical day.
Yeah.
And breaks it down, like, step by step. So you're encountering phrases like, I take the bus to school, or I go for a walk after work. Like, this is practical stuff that you would actually use.
Absolutely. And that's what's so great about it, is because you can imagine yourself trying to, like, navigate a day in an English speaking environment.
Totally.
And so being able to say things like, I eat a sandwich for lunch, or I have lunch at 12 p.m.
Right.
You know, these are things that you're going to use.
You know, as I was going through this material, I had this thought. Even something as basic as, like, saying, I work at the office in another language, it made me think about that part of my day, like, differently. Right. It wasn't just something I did. It had this, like, new meaning to it.
That's a great point.
It was very strange.
Because it's like, you're learning these phrases, but even the simple ones, like you're saying, like, I wake up or I brush my teeth.
Right.
It really can give you a fresh perspective on something that you do all the time.
Totally.
It's like you're seeing your own routine from a totally different angle.
It's true. It's like you're an anthropologist studying yourself.
Exactly.
And it gets even more interesting, I think, when you bring in, like, the cultural side of things.
Absolutely, yeah. Because, like, the phrase, I eat dinner at 7 p.m.
Right.
might be totally normal for, you know, for you or for me. But in another culture, that could be something that's just not done.
Right.
And so you're right. It is like this mini cultural exchange.
Totally.
Just by saying, like, these really basic phrases about your day.
It is. And our source does, I think, a really good job of, like, highlighting those key phrases that sort of, like, summarize those routines. But, you know, we've all been there.
Right.
You learn something new and then, like,
it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Poof, gone. Like, how do we make this stick?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it really comes down to practice, practice, practice.
Okay.
You've got to use these phrases to make the yours.
Yeah. It's easier said than done, though, right?
It is.
When you're not surrounded by English speakers all day, every day.
Well, you can still reinforce.
Right.
You can still reinforce those phrases in your everyday life.
Okay.
So imagine you're going through your morning routine. Just try thinking about it in English. I'm getting out of bed. I'm brushing my teeth.
So you're narrating your life.
Yeah.
But in English.
Exactly.
I love that.
And don't underestimate the power of writing.
Okay.
So try jotting down just simple sentences about your day.
Yeah.
It's another way to really solidify those words and those structures in your mind.
It's about finding those ways to weave it in.
Yeah.
Even if they seem really insignificant at first.
Absolutely. Because each time you use that phrase, you reinforce it.
Yeah.
You start to internalize that rhythm and that structure of the language almost without realizing it.
It becomes a part of you.
Yes.
It's like you build it into your system.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, like, the more you use those phrases, the less you even have to think about it. Like, you don't have to think about the grammar or the structure or anything like that. It just becomes second nature.
You just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I did notice how this lesson kind of structures things.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Around, like, getting around, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like building a little travel vocabulary.
Right. Like how to get from point A to point B.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So you've got, I take the bus, or I walk, or I drive.
Right. It's like all the different ways that we move through the world.
Yeah. And it makes you appreciate, like, even the subtle differences.
Totally.
Between those things.
Yeah.
And once you master those, you can even get, like, way more specific.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of just saying, I take the bus, you could say, I take the number 12 bus.
Oh, right.
Or I catch the bus at the corner.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's cool. Right. So it's like you're adding on these layers.
Exactly. It's like it's like expanding your linguistic toolbox one phrase at a time.
I love it.
Yeah. And it's not all, like, just about, like, the essentials. You know? This source also gets into some of the fun stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Like what?
Like I go for a walk after work, or
Yeah.
I listen to music in the evening.
Right.
These are things that can really kind of like bring your personality out.
Totally. It's not just like a robot.
Right.
Like I wake up, I eat, I go to work. It's like,
it's not just functional.
yeah.
It's about expression.
Exactly. And like you're right. It's like painting a picture
Exactly.
of your day.
And it reminds me of like when you travel to a new place and you finally start to pick up on like the local slang.
Oh yeah, like you're in the in-group now.
Right. It's like you're not just speaking the language, you're like connecting with the culture.
On a deeper level.
Yeah.
In total.
And it's the same thing here.
It is.
The more you immerse yourself, the more of those aha moments you're going to have.
It's like you crack the code.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's not all...
It takes work.
It does take work.
Like it's fun and exciting, but then it's like, okay, now I have to put in the hours.
Right.
You know?
There's that initial excitement of like learning something new.
Totally.
But then the real work begins.
Yeah.
Repetition is key. This source really emphasizes that.
Okay.
Think of it like practicing a musical instrument.
Right. You don't just pick it up.
You don't become a virtuoso overnight.
And you're great.
Yeah, it takes practice.
It does.
So, don't be afraid to sound a little silly at first.
Totally.
Just find opportunities to use the phrases, even if you're just talking to yourself in the mirror.
Oh, I've been there 100%.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even if you stumble over a word or two, it's like you learn from it.
Exactly.
It's part of the process.
It's all part of the process.
You're not going to be perfect right away.
Exactly.
Okay, so embrace those stumbles.
Absolutely.
And celebrate those little victories.
Yes.
Okay.
Celebrate those.
So speaking of celebrating victories, I love how this source really encourages listeners to find really realistic ways to apply this stuff.
Yeah, like even just small interactions.
Okay, like that.
Can be so empowering.
Like ordering a coffee in English or
asking for directions.
Yeah, right. It's those little things where it's like, okay, I'm actually using this.
Yeah, you feel good?
I'm not just
it's not just theoretical anymore.
Exactly. It's real and it works and,
right.
But it's got to be more than just the practicalities, right?
Yeah, there's something deeper here.
Yeah, what's going on?
Because learning to say I wake up at 7 a.m. or I walk the dog or whatever.
Yeah.
In another language, it's not just about
right.
knowing the words.
Right.
Right?
It's changing something.
It's like you're tapping into a new way of seeing your own routine.
It's I don't know. It's like you're looking at it through a new lens or something.
Exactly.
It's very strange.
And that shift in awareness can kind of spark your curiosity about other cultures too.
That's true.
If you learn to say, I eat lunch at 1 p.m. in English, you might start thinking, what time do people eat lunch in Japan?
Right.
Or Brazil or,
It just opens up all these possibilities.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And it's like those tiny victories all add up.
They do.
It's really good.
Like you're building a bridge.
Yes.
One phrase at a time.
I love that.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe that bridge leads you to your next big adventure.
Exactly.
Maybe you finally book that trip abroad or
that's right.
You connect with people online who speak English, whatever it is.
It's amazing how learning a few simple phrases can do that.
It's true. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So to our listener out there, keep practicing.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
And don't underestimate the power of those everyday phrases.
Because you're not just learning a language, you're opening yourself up to a whole world.
Beautifully said.
Of new experiences, new connections.
It's a journey worth taking.
It is.
One, I eat breakfast at a time.
That's a good place to end it, I think.
I think so.
So on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the rhythm of a day as told through the language of English.
Until next time.
Until next